session this morning. It was a technical session covering the whole of Eastern Europe, and there was a lady speaking from Romania, and she referred to Bulgaria as the powerhouse of mining in Europe, and she's absolutely right. We're in Bulgaria. We've got three critical aspects to our story that really set us apart from a lot of other people. Firstly, we've got a local Bulgarian company, a private company, as a partner. Through that partner, we have access to an existing and operating CIL plant, which is very critical to our story. And then thirdly, we've got access to a lot of satellite deposits sitting around that CIL plant, and we think that those deposits will be capable of feeding mineralized material through to that CIL plant. All of this positions us as a credible story, potentially near-term gold production in the region. And we're one of the few companies that's kind of in that position. A lot of the companies in this area are either already producing or very, very early stage production. So we sit right in the middle of those stories. We're positioning ourselves to be looking at a minimum of 100,000 ounces per year and to be able to sustain that for a minimum of 10 years. And I'll show you how we're partially getting there already and how we hope to get there completely. Unlike a lot of our peer companies in this kind of exploration stage, we're very well funded. As Gwen said, we've received a $9 million investment from Atlantic Gold, which is going to see us able to make real plans for our projects, pull everything together, and to be able to execute on those plans without having to constantly go back to the market over the coming months and years. So a little bit of background on the company, just to put you in the picture. We came into existence in July 2017 when Velocity purchased the Rosno asset. We came in as management and board at that time, and we immediately began drilling. We put together the partnership with our Bulgarian partner, very critical, and giving us access to the CIL plant. And then in February 2018, we significantly expanded the nature of that relationship with our partner, Gurubsu. We went from a single asset to an exploration and mining alliance over an area of about 10,000 square kilometers. And within that area of 10,000 square kilometers, everything that we do together with our partner, which means that anything we do feeds into the plant. So it's a very neat project. In September 2018, we published the initial preliminary economic assessment on Rosno. I call it preliminary because it was the mechanism by which we earn our 70% interest in the project. So we're by no means finished at the project, but we wanted to get the PEA out, secure our tenure, and now we're already in a 70-30 joint venture with our partner and looking at expanding the resource. And finally, the strategic investment with Atlantic has been very critical, both to what we want to do immediately and our ability to do it through the coming year. So looking at that investment in a bit more detail, it comes in two parts. The first part is a fairly straightforward private placement. It's 21-cent units with half warrants at 25 cents. The remainder of the investment, which is $5.1 million, comes in the form of a convertible debenture. That convertible has an 8.5% coupon attached to it. We can pay the interest in stock or in cash at our election. And ultimately, the debenture can be converted at 25 cents. It's kind of an unusual structure for a company of our size and stage, but what it allowed us to do was to bring in a partner like Atlantic with a significant position, but yet minimizing the dilution that came with that. If we'd done this with a straight private placement, 21-cent units, we would have had another 16 million shares of dilution, and we didn't want to see that. We're going to close this transaction probably in the next 7 to 10 days. On closing, Atlantic will have 19.9%. Partially diluted 39.2%. So they're a significant shareholder. But we're also significant shareholders in our company, and I'll kind of come to that structure towards the end here. The voting capability of Atlantic as they go through this procedure, through the next year, it's permanently capped at 35%, and we have quite a few minority protections in place for the next year as well. So you've probably heard of Atlantic. They're becoming a very well-known and well-respected kind of mid-tier producer in Canada. You might not have heard of Velocity, and you might wonder why they're making this investment. The answer, as Gwen alluded to, is that they basically look at this company and the assets that we have in Bulgaria, and they think that looks exactly the same as what they have in Nova Scotia about 3.5 to 4 years ago. The specifics of what they see in Rosno is a project with the PEA, low all-in sustaining costs, low capex, low strip ratio, resource expansion potential in a very underexplored belt and very, very simple metallurgy. Ultimately, the big analogy for them, though, is the hub and spoke model. It's a central processing plant. It's lots of advanced gold exploration projects sitting around it that can potentially feed that plant, and that's exactly what they've proved works very, very well in Canada, and we think we can prove it works well in Bulgaria. So this is a schematic map just looking at a representation of our exploration and mining alliance. As I said, it's 10,000 square kilometers. Right in the middle of the area there is the CIL plant, and this is one of the very core reasons why we as a management team were prepared to come into Bulgaria. Permitting anything in the cyanide world, anything at all in the processing world, can be very challenging, particularly in Europe, and the existence of this plant really makes all the difference to us. As a junior company, we're not looking at potentially 5-10 years of delays. It's already there, it's already operating, and it's a matter of us now to define the resources that will feed it and a much simpler permitting process as a result. On the right-hand side of the map, you'll see a project called Rosano. That's where we started. We've done the PEA. We're now going to go in there this year and drill another 12 to 14,000 meters. We're going to expand the resource, and we're going to complete the infill. We already now have 70% of that project, and we're moving forward together with our partner on a 70-30 basis. There's 3 other projects named on the map, Makedonce, Sadefce, and Obichnik. Those are 3 other projects that we're going to be hitting pretty hard this year in terms of exploration. And by the end of the year, I think we're going to be able to clearly see how these projects all fit together, like how they add to Rosano, how they get us towards our potential in terms of production profile. All of these assets, Rosano included, and now the 3 new ones, none of them are grassroots type projects. All of them have got like 1980s era Soviet style resources. Those are not the kind of resources that we're allowed to stand up and talk about or to quote, but they're the kind of resources that allow us to go and look at projects without already knowing that there's mineralization there. So we're not trying to find something, we're trying to define it further, expand it, and bring it into our production profile. So just to focus a little bit on the PEA at Rosano, the numbers were pretty good coming out of it, even though it's just really an initial look at the project. 130 million MPV, 5 after tax, and 33% IRR after tax. The capital is very, very manageable. It's a little under 100 million in terms of Canadian dollars. All-in sustaining cost is definitely lower quartile, possibly lower decile. And you can see the production profile that's in that initial report. It's 65,000 ounces over 6 years. That's not quite getting us to where we want to get to, but you can start to see how we can get there. We expand Rosano a little bit this year. We add to it with 3 other resources, and we'll hopefully be there. And gold price on this was $1,250. We've obviously seen some improvement in gold in the last little while, and that obviously improves the economics. They're extremely sensitive to gold price. I won't get into the details on this, but this is what we've been doing since we published the PEA. On the left, you see a map with some soil geochemistry, which has identified some new targets for us. You'll also see on that map the pit shells that were defined in the PEA, one here and one here. We've been drilling outside of that already. We started drilling in December last year. And the right-hand side of this section, you can see 4 holes, all of which hit significant mineralization from surface all the way to basement, and all of which are sitting outside of those pit shells. So we already know we're going to be able to expand the resource. Just a little bit on structure. This is structure today. In about a week's time, it's going to change quite a bit when we close the Atlantic financing. But for now, management and the board have got 37%. I draw your attention to that because our interests are very closely aligned with other shareholders. 4 of us own 37%. That's 2 of us in management and 2 of us on board. And we're very excited about where this project's going. And as shareholders, we really care how it gets there. So just to tie that up a little bit, obviously Bulgaria is a fairly positive place to be. It's a real mining country. It's got a long, long history of mining. The local partner, we think, is pretty critical. We don't like to go into new places and not know what we're doing and who we're doing it with, and that really helps us. It gives us access to the CIL plant. It gives us access to multiple advanced gold exploration assets and lets us develop that hub and spoke model, just like Atlantic have done in Nova Scotia. Well-financed is an unusual situation to be in what's been a fairly tough market over the last couple of years. We have experienced management and a discovery track record, which is not especially unusual. What is unusual in Bulgaria probably is the cost of putting ounces on the books. When we look back at Rosano, it's been less than $10 an ounce, and that's extremely good value for money in terms of investors. And with our money, our $9 million doesn't just come a financial partner, but also a technical partner. As Gwen said, Atlantic Gold are absolutely laser focused in more ways than one. They've really executed well on their project, and they're going to be able to help us to do the same with our projects as well. Looking forward to this year, 12 to 14,000 meters of drilling at Rosno, lots of drilling at the other 3 projects as well, news releases probably every couple of weeks. So we look forward to filling you in on all of our successes through the following year. Thanks very much.